So till now we have seen some basic HTML element. It's time to create a form in your web pages. You may come across in most of the sites, you can find some contact as form like that. So what is the purpose of contact as form? To get the inquiry. So any suggestions, any input we need from the end user, they can use the contact us form. That way they can put their name, email, and followed by the message there, whatever they want, they can put it into the form and submit. Once the user submit the information, it will be going to the respective users. So for that we need to have a form. So at the end, we need to capture the user information in the form. That is the definition for the form. So here I take an example of first name and last name and the submit button. So how to have a form for getting like this? We need to build a page HTML like this. We need to use a form like this. So here the form tag should open and followed by the action. Here the action attribute is mandatory. Only then that information will be passed on to handle further. Which means here for an example, I have put the action as action page.php, right? This is the PHP file. So once the user submit their information, the PHP file will take in what are the user input. From that, the processing level will be started. Okay. So to have the form like this, we need to start with form tag and followed with the action tag. This is mandatory. And here the elements is coming. So label for f name, so first name. Here I close the label and br tag. Br tag means break tag. Break tag will take you to the next line. Next line, what we put like input type as a text. ID equal to f name, name equal to f name, value equal to John, and break tag. So here you can refer the label for f name, which means for what purpose this label? This label is for this input. So it should match with this name property. The labels for property value should match with inputs name property value. Okay. So type is text. Like text, we have a checkbox, radio box, select box, text area. There are many input type for that. So here we are using text as the input widget. Okay. Here we are putting ID equal to f name, which is the unique name for this text box. Likewise, we created one another text box for capturing the last name. So label for L name. This should match with the next inputs name attribute value L name here. So here the label name as a last name followed with the label tag is closed. Then break tag. Break tag will take you to the next line. And input element we have added like this above. Followed by we should have this input type submit. Type submit is the mandatory one. Only then you can use the submit button. Otherwise, you will get a empty along with the two text box. So type equal to submit and value equal to submit. Value you can change whatever you want. Save or go on, submit it. So like that we can change the value. So here we have closed the form. So once the user submit, it going to the action page.php I told, right? So within that action.php, we need to capture those value. Since we have started the HTML, we are not going in detail about this PHP value. You just keep it in your mind that we need to use action attribute in the form. Later on, once we explore about the PHP, you will get to know further. But the understanding purpose, I can show you this action page.php file. Let me share the coding part. The form.html. Here you can see form action page.php method as post. There are two things. either you want to pass the form value as a post value or a get value. Two method. One is a post method, another one is a get method. Get method means what and all the information you are entering, those information will be visible to in the URL. But when you pass it as a post argument, it will not visible to the any user via the URL. But when you do the inspect element, we will get to know what elements we are getting in the post argument. So here I have segregated all the div elements like this. So I capture the name, email ID, and the password, and the phone number, and gender value, and language, then about you. So here each widget, it depicts different widgets. Name, it should be a text input widget. Likewise, email, we have a type email, which means there will be a syntax like this only, we need to pass it on. Otherwise, if you are putting a text here, it won't treat it as it will accept whatever you can. It's a free text, right? So it will accept whatever you put. But whereas if you are adding a type equal to email, this will restrict only allow the user to enter valid email. Okay. And the password. If you are putting type equal to password, this is not visible to anyone. If you type something, you will get asterisk value only. The character won't display. And phone number. Phone number, we can use type tel, which means that tel is the attribute to capture users' telephone information. For that purpose only, we have used the telephone as a property type. You will get to know the demo. I will show you. I will come into a few minutes. Before that, let's check this radio box. So gender, when it comes to the gender, either it could be male or female or others, I mean transgender, right? So for that, we need to have the widget as a type, radio type, male value we have added, and here also it should be value male, and only then if you select this male, this value will be passed on to the other end. So likewise, the value, it's a mandatory. Okay, so multiple value you can put it like this. In your case, if you want to create a widget like a radio widget, you can put like this. You can change whatever the value you want, but this name value should be same for all the values within the radio widgets. As I said, the label is referring the for attribute here. I mean a male, right? So this male, I think name should match here. So that is how the label needs to be built. So here I have added the radio widget, and followed by I have created a select box. How the select box syntax will be look like? We have a label as a language, and followed with the select widget. It starts with the select tag, then name of the widget, then ID is the identifier for this element, followed by the option list of option, whatever you want, that you can build the format like this. The option tag should open like this and ending with close tag. Within that, the value needs to be passed on. This is the label. This is a human readable name. This is the value will pass on to the other end. Other end in the sense, what and all the value captured, this will be passed it on this action. I mean action page.php file. Okay. The next widget is all about you. About you is contained four line about you, right? So for that purpose, we need to use text area as a widget. So this is how we build this HTML form element, and followed by we have created the type submit widget. So only then the user submit the values. Okay, I will show you on the browser how it will look like. Okay, see here the John as a name, I put a default value for all. Okay, So when it comes to email, it should be followed this kind of syntax. Suppose if I put like this example, if I submit the form, it will throw you the validation error. Please include an @ in the email address. So those things will be taken care by the HTML5 semantic element. So that is where we need to enter the valid email format. In the password, if I put like character, you can't read that character. Why? Because the type is password, so that you are getting not readable kind of character. When it comes to the phone number, you cannot enter. Okay, it's allowing. Okay, ideally it should not allow to enter the character, but need to check the type is tell, right? I think if we are putting character, let me check. It's submitting. Okay, it should not submit, but we need to capture the valid phone number, and we haven't written any validation over there. Okay, and it's about a gender. Either you need to select a male or a female or other. You can't select any more than one value, right? So either it could be a male or a female or other. So I just started with I selected the male. Then about select widget. So this is the select box. When once user click on this, this list will be expanded. From the expanded list, you can select the select widget. Then followed by about you. So this is the text area. So this you need to talk about good personality, like that. You can enter about you. Once the user submit, see here, look at the URL here. It will take you to action page.php. So here I captured all the value that I can store it in our database wherever I want. Let me show you that as well. I'm in action page.php. See, I got that vadum post. Post means all the post value, whatever I have captured, those things will be printed like that. Whatever I have shown here. So this is how the form will work. I hope you clearly understand how to use the form in your web pages. Explore more about it, and I have a assignment for you. So you need to work on this assignment to have a structure like this, build a form, and to have this kind of structured way to create the form. Okay, thank you all then.